So the president is actively sabotaging the US Postal Service, and apparently nobody cares. Let's find out why. Welcome back to Real with O'Neil. It's real. All right, let's start from the very beginning. Who is Louis DeJoy? Obviously, if you look at it, and it's a quick Google search, y'all, he is a Trump supporting fanatic like all the rest of them. Listen, he is a logistical genius in the private sector, but they brought him in. Of course, the USPS is hemorrhaging money. I am not denying that, and this whole episode essentially is not denying that the U.S. Postal Service needs help with their business and how to create more money and more revenue to keep the institution afloat. It's 250 years old. It needs to stay afloat. However, Trump has actively sabotaged our U.S. Postal Service, and it's hurting the U.S. citizens. It's hurting the rural citizens. It's hurting urban citizens, and he actively talks about defunding the U.S. Postal Service, and everyone's okay with it. So who is Louis DeJoy? I'll tell you who he is. Check this out. So DeJoy and his wife, Aldana Wass, have a history of donating to conservative causes and Republican candidates, including $1.2 million to President Donald Trump's election efforts. DeJoy is on the board of Fund for American Studies, but look at this, guys. Until he took over the Postal Service, he was the deputy finance chairman of the Republican National Committee. All right, y'all. Though he is experienced in logistics, I already stated that, but in Trumpian fashion, it's funny, man. Every single person that he appoints always has some weird connection with the private sector to line their pockets. He says he's draining the swamp, but he actually never does. This dude, when he became appointed, there was concerns about conflict of interest. Of course, his previous job actually directly competed with the U.S. Postal Service. So I guess you could say that he does have some sort of experience in this, in this field or in this industry. But at the same time, it's very wary to put somebody in power whenever the administration is already trying to defund, already trying to veto a bill that's $25 billion that was supposed to go to the U.S. Postal Service, that was drafted up by the Democrats, that's going to be vetoed by Trump. Hell, it's probably not going to even pass in the Senate because they don't want to see a postal service that can adequately take in your votes, your absentee votes, and make sure that it gets to whoever is counting these votes accurately and on time. But, that's not what I'm concerned about, actually. That's not what I'm concerned about. Is it a problem? Absolutely. Really, what I'm concerned about is what he's actively doing since his appointment. Check this out. So function 4 must start on time and end on time, and we must make a schedule for DUT. What he's essentially saying is that the trucks that leave the post offices need to run on time, which you're right, it makes sense. But for them to do that, that means that they have to send these trucks out without full mail. So it defeats the purpose anyways. But look at this, it blows my mind, y'all. Carriers must make the final dispatch value. No additional transportation will be authorized to dispatch mail to the plant after the intended dispatch. The right mail must go on to the right truck every time. All employees must have essential One aspect of these changes that may be difficult for employees is that temporarily, we may see mail left behind or mail on the workroom floor or docks in P&DCs, which is not typical. Essentially, what he's saying is that these trucks are leaving without full mail. That's your votes. That's your votes. It's your absentee votes. That's your mail-in votes not getting to the appropriate hands when you put them in. I mean, there's already cases around the nation with people saying that their prescriptions aren't coming in. Their paychecks aren't coming in. In rural America, they are so reliant on the Postal Service. Hell, whenever my buddy Chase and I were out there in Colorado, going past these really small towns, all of them had a post office. Like every single one of them had a post office, and they're very reliant. There's businesses that rely on the post office. I mean, there was a study that shows that 80% of small to medium-sized businesses still use the post office. It's not just for you. I get it. You can use FedEx. You can use Amazon. But even then, they use the post office. So why are we sitting back and claiming that the post office is not important and it's not a tenet of our democracy within our country, y'all? Why are we pretending that? And why don't we care? So like I stated, businesses rely on the post office. So I looked at when I was doing my research, There's a man named Brian Tents. He uses the post office and he used to defend the post office, but for the last 8 years, he has run a small business based out of Madison, Wisconsin that ships key replacements around the country. Look at this. So Tents can no longer defend the post office. He estimates 1 in 5 packages are not reaching your destination on time. This is recent, guys. This is within the appointment of DeJoy. So on Monday, Tents received a package from the customer in Miami sent via priority mail, typically delivery time, of 2 to 3 days. That was 3 weeks late. Express mail, which used to take a day to get delivered, now takes a week or more. Look at this report, guys. It's so annoying because I keep saying it because no one cares. This whole video is based upon us not caring about something that essentially is keeping a lot of our delivery, a lot of our communication afloat. It's 250-year institution that's being attacked by our president. This report, let me show you guys this real quick. Their private sector competitors like FedEx and UPS, a 2019 report by the USPS Office of the Investigator General found that 70% of micro businesses, defined as any business with fewer than 10 employees, used the post office within the last 6 months, depending on average $359 per month on shipping. And more than half of them said that they ship with the post office most frequently. So you have a private sector, and check this out. This is where the hypocrisy from the Trump administration comes from. They claim they're there for the small business, the small guy, whoop whoop and whop. Listen, but at the same time, they will attack the U.S. Postal Service. They will veto a $25 billion deal. That's an appropriations bill. That's a standalone bill. I can show y'all. I'm gonna put the bill actually in the comments, or excuse me, in the caption to show you that it doesn't have any extra appropriations to a certain social cause or to the none of that. All it is $25 billion to the U.S. Postal Service for them to securely be able to accurately get all the mail, deliver the mail, and make sure that whenever you cast a vote, whenever your ballot comes in, it will come in on time and it won't amount to voter fraud. That's it. That's all it does. And so, guys, going into this, I want to really show you this video of a congressman that kind of was grilling Louis DeJoy. I loved what he said. It fires me up because I know this is exactly how I feel, and it's frustrating. Check out this video.
In the middle of a pandemic that has killed 170,000 Americans, and on the eve of a national election, at a time when the CDC is advising people not to gather, limit outside contact, the Postal Service started removing 671 high-speed mail sorting machines across the country. You stopped the APWU from sorting the mail, and you stopped the national letter carriers and mail handlers from working overtime to deliver the mail. You sent out a letter, embarrassingly, in July to 46 states that said the post office can't guarantee that we can deliver the mail in time for the elections in November. In my heart, I'm tempted to ask, after 240 years of patriotic service delivering the mail, how can one person screw this up in just a few weeks?
The rest of your accusations are actually
Will you put the high-speed machines back?
No, I will not.
You will not?
Will not.
You will not. Well, there you go.
Fired up, as we all should be. They're actively sabotaging the U.S. Postal Service, and no one gives a damn. I mean, in the memo that he sent out to all the Postal Service workers, stating that he's freezing hiring, or there's no overtime, or they're not changing any of the policies made before he was in, even though during his tenure as a Postmaster General, even though it hasn't been that long, they're dismantling sorting machines, and they're taking mailboxes, and he said in the testimony to Congress that he's not putting back the sorting machines. Why? He doesn't even give a good reason for it. He just states that he doesn't want the U.S. Postal Service to rely on the American people, or it needs to be run in a what government institution won't take appropriation money from the government? Like that's what I really don't understand. Their argument is that the U.S. Postal Service cannot stop mail-in voting, or excuse me, stop fraud, because they can't, there was fraud in different elections at the local level. Like my last video, I stated, if you guys want to look at it, look at my last video. I state as to why, honestly, just voting in person is just the best bet, because unfortunately our postal service has been compromised. But their whole argument is based around that we don't have the infrastructure, or we don't have the leadership, or we don't have the capability to stop any kind of fraud that happens, either at the drop boxes or literal mail-in ballots, not getting to the post office in time. But then we'll veto a bill that's $25 billion to make sure that they have the money to securely get those ballots in, that the drop boxes are in places that need to be in place, and they want to veto that. There should be global outrage. There should be national outrage about this, guys. I'm upset. I understand the social issues that's happening right now is extremely important, massively important. But as of right now, we got to get our priorities straight. And our priorities right now is not where it needs to be. And that is the Postal Service is being sabotaged, actively sabotaged in broad daylight. They're doing it. And I know what the narrative is. I know what the plan and the scheme and the strategy of this administration is. Essentially, Donald Trump is against mail-in voting, but they appoint a guy to the Postal Service that is for mail-in voting. He states in his testimony that that's where he breaks off from the belief of Donald Trump, as he believes that the U.S. Postal Service is ready to take in the almost 100 million ballots that are going to probably come in on November 3rd or before. By the way, if you're going to mail-in vote, please, for the love of God, do it before Election Day, because your vote will not get counted. And like I stated in my other video, if you can, bro, just go out there and vote in person, because our administration is corrupt and they are actively sabotaging the U.S. Postal Service. It's not reliable anymore. That's it. It's a wrap. They're not reliable anymore. So just kind of my final statements on this, guys. The U.S. Postal Service under Louis DeJoy, is now compromised. They've actively destroyed any capability of our 250-year institution that's been able to do it, and through wars, through World War II, through Vietnam, through a blockade, through German U-boats. They were able to get their mail on time, but the first time in history, the U.S. Postal Service can't even get their mail prescriptions, paychecks to a person down the block or in rural America or in the urban cities. They can't even do that anymore. And it's obvious to what the administration is doing and how they're in cahoots with DeJoy, and how DeJoy's in cahoots with the administration to actively make sure that mail-in voting cannot happen. And why are they doing that? Because it will justify voter fraud and it will justify Donald Trump losing. I said it in my last video. They're going to do everything they can to position themselves so that they can justify a elongated recount of votes, or an elongated term by Donald Trump. Because as soon as he gets out of office, if he loses this election, this man is going to jail, y'all. He's going to jail. Period. He knows that. And that's why it's dangerous. Hell, I don't have to say anything else, y'all. Donald Trump said it himself that he's trying to sabotage the U.S. Postal Service. Check it out.
So therefore, they don't have the money to do the universal mail-in voting. So therefore, they can't do it, I guess, right? Are they going to do it even though they don't have the money? They're asking for the $3.5 billion. They're asking for $25 billion for the post office so they can do this, I guess, and other things. At 25, I would hope it would be a lot of other things too. But therefore, they don't have it. They don't have the money to do the universal mail-in votes.
So that's on that, and that's a fact, Jack. And let me tell you something, man. Y'all can watch this video. Y'all make y'all's opinion. I have all of my sources in the caption. If you don't believe me, just read the articles, read the studies, read the case studies for yourself, and find out why we are actively under attack by an administration that is sabotaging not only the Postal Service, but our elections. This is Real with O'Neal. I can only be real with y'all. You can find me on all of my social media. My website's coming. Check it out. I don't know when it's going to drop. Whatever. We'll figure it out. I'll let y'all know. This is Real with O'Neal. I'll catch y'all next week. Deuces.
It's real.